We are delighted to be sponsored by Enzo Morabito and his brilliant Douglas Elliman team. They may be working in the Hamptons, but they're working everywhere. Welcome. I'm Victoria Schneps, publisher of Schneps Media, and here, Dan's Papers Palm Beach, in fact, our latest edition of Dan's Papers Palm Beach, and we are surrounded by great talent tonight. So I want to first introduce my co-host, the fabulous Emmy Award Winning Jane Hanson.
Thank you, Vicki. As always, Vicki's usually in pink, because you match the hotel, the Colony where we are, and you match the Palm Beach scene. And she has gotten into this place in a short period of time, let me tell you.
Well, we are so thrilled to have Palm Beachers, New Yorkers, my Golden Triangle people, the Hamptons, Manhattan, and Palm Beach. And today, we are thrilled to have Jane Rothchild, who is a renowned producer, and the iconic, brilliant Bill Boggs.
Where is it? Oh, me.
It's you, who many years ago I was on his TV show fighting for Willowbrook and the people with disabilities.
Well, you did a wonderful job.
Thank you. But you are brilliant at what you do. And then the one and only Dan Rattiner, who Dan's Papers is actually started by Dan over 62 years ago. So welcome, Dan.
Thank you.
Bravo. So Jane, I think you should introduce.
Well, first of all, I've known Bill forever, and he likes to call her Lady Jane. And of course, she's got the most beautiful first name. What can I say? But you guys you have this great saying, which basically is, how do you keep your life so active and busy? We show up.
And we go for, Jane is my long-suffering girlfriend. So there's no confusion about that. I know.
It's a tough job.
Yeah, there's so much to do in life, and the thing is to get out there, and if you've got the wherewithal, you follow your passion.
What I'm so curious about with you, because Bill, I've known you for a really long time, and you talk show host, you've had small parts in movies, although he won't confess to which ones. Stage performer, you're still on stage. You, Jane, are busy all the time with a number of different projects. You keep reinventing yourself.
How about the book?
Oh, yeah, and of course he's a writer. I'm sorry, he's a big writer now. Spike the Wonder Dog.
This is actually my third book since 1980, and I'm working on the sequel now called Spike Unleashed, The Wonder Dog Returns.
Spike the Wonder
That
Dog.
rate, it'll be at 2030, at 3.
Yes, I'll never catch you when it comes to writing books.
We know Dan Rattiner has written how many books, Dan?
A dozen.
A dozen books. So it keeps us keeps us alive, it keeps us going, and that I think is the name of the game, right?
Indeed it is, yeah.
The question really is for all of you, is about this whole process of reinvention, because I think we have many different kind of facets of our life. There's 10 years here, 20 years here, whatever it is. I'd like to know how you just keep doing it.
How you just, well, mine, I began, my first job was working for Johnny Carson. And there was strictly chutzpah and determination. I graduated from NYU in 1969. Didn't know what I was going to do, because back then, women could be a teacher, a nurse, or a secretary. And none of those appealed to me. And I wound up back, my dad said, he was cleaning my teeth one day, my dentist dad. He said, why don't you work for a celebrity? And it was the kind of idea that who would ever have thought of that? So I graduated, said celebrity, Johnny Carson. And I walked into 30 Rock, went up to the 6th floor.
Where they were doing the Tonight Show.
Said to the receptionist, I'd like a job here. She said, well, leave a resume. I said, I just graduated college. I don't have a resume. Give me your yellow pad. I sat down.
Go for it.
And I wrote out all my summer jobs I'd had, from high school and college, handed it in, and I called the next day, and I said, yesterday I dropped off my resume. Who did you give it to? And she said, I gave it to Barbara Meltzer. I said, could I please speak to Barbara Meltzer? And lo and behold, I got Barbara, and she said, I have no jobs. I called Barbara every day for 3 weeks, and finally she said, come in Monday, I'm sick of your phone calls.
There is a lesson there, tenacity.
Persistence.
Don't give up.
Don't give
Persistence.
Yeah, persistence, 100%. I think the concept of reinventing yourself is the way life should be. Whatever small gifts or talents I've had, I've been able to make grow because I've applied energy to them. And I think, for example, a few years ago I decided I'm just going to concentrate on writing comedy, satire, which is what this book is. And I believe in resolve. I just say, this is what I'm doing. Not resolving to 300 people. Resolving to yourself that you're going to make it happen, that you're going to apply it. You may screw up, you may bomb, but you've got the first step in reinventing yourself is saying, I have a passion for this, I'm going to go for it. Yeah, there'll be risks involved. If there weren't risks, where would growth be?
Exactly. So what's the most memorable moment from one of your talk shows? I just something, and maybe the worst moment, or
The most memorable
Yeah, but I like what
moment.
you said.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one. Okay, the late great John Belushi, right? The night before a show that was about comedy, where I had a writer from Saturday Night Live, I had David Brenner, I had Steve Allen. I'm at Studio 54, dancing around, literally, and there's Belushi. Bill Boggs, how you doing? We're dancing. Who's on your show tomorrow? I got David Brenner. I got Michael O'Donoghue. He's okay. I got Steve Allen. Steve Allen? I love Steve Allen. I'll be watching. So, like, I'm thinking, at 2 o'clock in the morning, why not come and do the show? I could be on with Steve. Yeah, sure, you could be on with Steve. One thing leads to another. He scrawls out his phone number on a little piece of paper with a stubby pencil, gives it to me. He says, call me tomorrow, call me at 10, and keep calling no matter what. So to move the story along, I call up at 10. There's no answer. 10:15, 10:30. No, the show's going to go on at 11. I call at 20 up. Finally, quarter up. Hey, John, Bill Boggs. Blank you. John. Steve Allen. Steve, I'll be there. So we start the show, and I told all the producers, Belushi's coming down. Oh, yeah, sure. We're at Studio 54 Dreams. In the middle of the show, we're talking Steve Allen, the guest. Belushi comes through the side door crawling like a Komodo dragon across the set, up the steps, onto a seat. Then he goes to Steve, I love you.
Chutzpah again.
Now, by the way, a clip of his appearance on the show is on my YouTube channel, Bill Boggs TV, where I get him to sing on that program because he loved to sing, and he was so pissed off at me that I got him to sing that I convinced him that he threw his water at me, and there was a water fight on the set.
That is a memorable moment.
Live TV.
All right, wait a second. I've got Dan here,
There
Dan
he is.
Rattiner.
I was about to say I don't believe in reinvention because I started doing one thing, and then for better or worse, that's what I did. And I saw people around me who would retire from one thing, they didn't like that anymore, go to another city, start all over again. I kept on going, but there had been new facets to it. And the most recent was I started doing podcasts with video. And they're on the platform for Dan's papers and for else. And they're a lot of fun to do. I got to meet a lot of
So
people.
you got to tell us a hot story. You got to compete with Bill with his great
What I
story.
did 3 weeks ago is with a guy who dresses every day as a superhero, has a cape that he wears.
that Ivan?
Sir Ivan.
Ivan.
He built a castle in Southampton.
Oh, I know that
Basic,
castle.
yes, basically to meet girls, I think. His father was a very wealthy banker.
Who
And
started with nothing? Who
started with
walking
nothing
the streets selling Bibles?
Yes,
Really?
he wrote a book, Unstoppable, about his father. He paid
He
to
was a
do that.
Holocaust survivor.
Anyway, Sir Ivan is now 62. He's down here also in Palm Beach, I guess, because when I interviewed him, he was wearing like a T-shirt with no
jacket.
no jacket, just whatever. And he wants to talk about himself, and what he's done, the hit records he's had, the cover records he's had, the parties he's held. He holds 1 or 2 big parties a year. I remember the first one I went to, I went up Deerfield Road in a car, and there was a guy standing in the middle of the street about a half a mile from his place who was directing traffic. and he would stop you to say, "Are you going to the party?" It was a half a mile away. And when he leaned in, they saw he had a gun under his shirt and his sweater. He was making sure only certain people could.
This was the party of the summer, you know. And you guys are party people, so when you have parties, I mean, you find, you know, this season is wonderful because people are coming out of COVID, and they're.
Yes, we're more grateful than ever.
They are.
I love love stories. How did you two meet?
Love stories? Oh, my word.
Well, basically,
Start.
I picked Bill up. And it was back to chutzpah. And talk about forget the reinvention. It was back in 2010. I'm an avid theater goer. I love theater, and I had a subscription to the Manhattan Theater Club. And it was a Sunday, and I had a ticket for a 7:00 show on 55th Street at that theater. I got there at 6:30, and I was in the mood for a vodka tonic. Somehow, I just was in the mood for a vodka tonic.
What else is new?
What else? I switched to vodka martinis now, but
They're good.
But back then it was vodka tonics, and I went across the street to what was
Cherco.
Cherco.
55th Street.
And there was a table with two handsome men, one of them being Bill, sitting there, and I, not being no fool, sat at the next table.
And being single.
And being single,
Right.
sat at the next table. And I'm kind of just sitting there, and I ordered my vodka tonic, and they're having a great time. And I'm looking at them enviously because they have food on the table. I don't have time to order food.
Right.
But at about 20 to 8, the owner of the restaurant, Mauro Macchioni,
Mara Macchioni, right.
Macchioni came out, and Bill stood up and gave them an embrace and introduced him to his friend John.
So what happened then was, John, I said, Mara, how are things going with your divorce? Because he was getting divorced. He tells me, and then John, my friend who's with me, loud enough so the woman behind us can hear it, says, you know, he's available now too, because I had just gotten divorced. He said that on purpose. Anyway, Jane heard he's available now too.
Because I have very good hearing, and I've never been
It's
shy.
like a squirrel, her
I've
hearing
never
is
been
good.
shy. I stood up, and it was like just 2 steps, and I leaned in between the two of them, and I said, gentlemen, I didn't mean to interrupt. I mean, didn't mean to eavesdrop, excuse me. I didn't mean to eavesdrop.
Right.
But I couldn't help but overhear that you, Bill,
You're
are available. Guess what? So am I.
So she sits down.
Bill was in
we
shock.
have a great
he was
time.
like, his mouth was open. John stood up, all 6'7" of him, stood up, pulled out a chair. They were at a four-top, said, sit down, you're fabulous. He went over and got my purse, got my vodka tonic, brought it over, and we sat there until 2 minutes to
And
7.
she was great. We had a really good
We had
time.
so much fun.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to the show?
I
Oh
did.
yeah, she made it to the show. So
I
she,
couldn't. I know.
On
I
her
couldn't
way out,
decide. Wait,
on
I
her-
couldn't decide. I was
You
waiting.
hung out outside the theater?
No. So basically, what I decided to go. I decided I'll go ahead with my plan. So I said, gentlemen, curtains going up. I have to leave. And I stood up, and they stood up, and they each said, "May I have your number?" And I
Your card,
my
your card.
I gave each of them my card. I was working with Brown Harris Stevens. Gave each of them my card. And I said, "You decide. You're both terrific." and I went to the theater.
Well, wait, there's
And
something
But
happened.
jumping back,
Wait.
the show, I couldn't stop thinking about them, and the show was truly dreadful. I left at intermission and ran back, but
And we weren't there.
They were gone.
Now, Jane gets embarrassed by this, but this actually happened.
this is
We were all standing up, and John gave, a bye hug. He's 6'7". He gives her a hug, and I gave Jane a hug. At this point, Jane did not recognize me from TV. I give her a hug, and Jane says in my ear, "You're a better fit."
I find that hard to believe.
Without question. No, just let me.
I'm not shy, but
There's a lesson there. A woman meets a man and she's interested in him.
Right.
Let him know you like. Let him know you like the guy. A man meets a woman without being, gee, you're really, I'd like to get to know you better without being a lech. Let your intentions be known. So I called her 3 weeks later, and we went to Bemelman's.
Took you 3 weeks?
That's another story for another day. I wasn't looking to, I wanted to go out 3 weeks later. And
we've been together ever since.
We've been together since that night at Bemelman's Bar, our first date.
Well, so that's a good place to tell people to show up. Where would you go here or in the Hamptons? I want.
So Dan is an expert on the Hamptons, having lived there. How many years, Dan?
Oh, God.
80. Well, how old are you now?
82.
Oh, my God.
And rocking it.
I got out there when I was 16. I started the paper when I was 20.
That's amazing.
So there are people today who still call me Danny, which is sweet.
Well, you've seen the evolution of the Hamptons from, when you started in Montauk and then headed west.
Yeah, oh sure, it's changed dramatically. It used to be the locals worried about there would be too many, so the suburbanites would show up in the Hamptons. And also what we wanted was tourists, if you remember that.
Yeah.
It just continues to grow and evolve, the Hamptons. We're in Springs,
many
the
tourists.
Springs
Yeah,
section.
so do we, so do we. And the artists had come, and it was a very interesting time. And now, of course, it's become much more of a world-class resort, and it's dominated by one group. I loved it most during the period when you'd have the African American section had their people who'd go to meetings, or the merchants would, the clammers would, they'd all show up.
Yeah, but they still all exist, and I think they're all existing next to each other, and they're all existing
And
peacefully.
they all
next
have, they're peaceful, and they all have their agendas.
Yeah.
And I love that time because it was so different from everything I had grown up with in a little suburb in New Jersey.
You know, things change everywhere. Things are changing here in Palm Beach. Things are changing in Manhattan quickly. Things are changing in East Hampton. And I believe you have to embrace change. Change is inevitable.
Correct.
Growth from that change is optional.
Yeah, but I believe that if you don't grow, you die. And that's
at least
really
you
where
wither.
well, no, but I think that's why we've grown our company to 88 newspapers, because we realize when there are opportunities for communities, we are community newspaper people. That's why I was so honored to buy Dan's papers.
But
So she said,
trust me, she loves this. She's a whirlwind down here. But that word community,
Yes.
it's what's so interesting because you started with the Golden Triangle. That community is almost moving. It's because there's a lot of the same people here that you see in New York.
Seasonal.
Yep. And so that brings some great comfort.
Yes.
fun.
Yes, it indeed
How
does.
about fun? I mean, if we don't laugh and we don't have fun in life, what is life about? You guys have found the formula. I think it's such a beautiful thing how you found each other and you've been able to cause a life.
I really appreciate that. We say, we looked at each other and we say, "Geez, we pulled it off.
You're pulling it
We're
off
pulling it off.
You're pulling it
But
off
when we ended up
every day.
with the house in East Hampton, I said, Jane, we somehow pulled it off. And then the place down here, whoa, we really pulled it off. And
It's
so
fabulous.
but you know something, I'm ruled by, this may seem dull, I'm ruled by gratitude. I am completely grateful for the life I've had, the parents I've had, the schools I went to, Jane, everything we're doing. I don't take any of it for granted, nothing.
Well, Dan, you're on your fifth wife, and I know you're very happy with this one.
Is that true?
finally found the right person, sure. Been with her almost 20 years. Before that, I was scrambling around. I was really in love with the work that I do. That I agree with you about, when you find your passion. And if you can say, how can I make this work? And then you find that. And that's a wonder. I feel the same way about my life. And I just learned that Stony Brook University is collecting my papers and things, which is
Your
good.
dad's papers or your other papers?
Well, no, Dan's papers and books and manuscripts and all that stuff.
So I think, you're all iconic brands, and I think the life we lead is such a vibrant one, and we're making it vibrant. We're making it happen, and that's really what's so exciting about having all of you here today. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for Jane Rothchild. Thank you so much, great producer. Thank you, Bill Boggs, who is rocking it now with his new book, Spike.
The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog, as told to Bill Boggs. The dog told me the story, Vicky. I just put it down.
I love it. I love it. And Dan Rattiner, who is really writing every single week. And I got to yell at him, only 600 words, Dan, because he is the brilliant writer.
We worked it out at 1,055.
Right, we figured it out. We figured it out. And Jane Hanson, the beautiful Emmy Award Winning broadcaster, we are so thrilled to be here with you. And thank you to Douglas Elliman and to Enzo Morabito who is sponsoring this wonderful broadcast that you will be able to see over all of Schneps Media websites, iTunes, as well as Spotify. So thank you for being with us. Until next time, Vicki Schneps signing off.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.